Okay, so I'm back with another video right now. I'm trying to give y'all everything I got. I'm trying to, every time something comes to the front of my head that I don't feel like I've said yet, I got to get it out. So I'm trying to record as much as I can when I can. So today, like I said, it's going to be a lot because I went to my therapy to have my last visit with him before I left and to just record everything by me wanting to start this documentary on my life and how I feeling like I'm headed on this new journey. So what led me to Chicago, this is what I want to talk about, is what led me to Chicago to be with my mother. So what led me to Chicago to be with my mother was I was hanging with one of my ex-boyfriend's sisters. And me and her would always, like, when I wasn't at work, drive back and forth to Chicago. And one day I drove back to Chicago with her. And as soon as we got off the highway, me and her, as soon as we got off the highway, I feel like this is when God started really working, y'all. But, mm, but, so I was in, me and her rode to Chicago together. And right when we got off the highway, I got a phone call. Said that my mama had passed out in the tub and she was rushed to the emergency room or whatever. And I needed, to get there. Thank God I was already there and had just got off the highway. I told Juanita, who called my phone, that I had just got off the highway and that I'll be there. So I went to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, nobody was there with my mom, for one. For two, when the doctor came in and he was explaining everything to me, he was telling me that my mother was starting to have heart problems. On top of everything else, the diabetes, the strokes, the seizures, the brain tumor, which was removed, but it was a part of her health issue. It was a part of an issue. So anyway, the doctor said she was starting to have heart problems. So I'm like, okay. So I have to get back to Wisconsin because I have to go to work. But I ended up staying mom at the hospital for a little bit or whatever. At this point, I got stuff going through my head. Like the whole entire time, like it's crazy how everything started everything was already, from my childhood, was already bothering me, So now when I was already, it was already started bothering me. So I leave the hospital from being with my mother. And we all share the same road. I leave, and on my way back to Wisconsin in a car with my ex-boyfriend's sister, I tell her, like, I'm finna just move to Chicago. She's like, you don't even like Chicago. I said, I don't. But this is where my mama wanna be. So this is where I gotta be. So I got a decision to make. And my decision is made now. Because this is where my mama wanna be. Mine, you guys, or should I say, not mine, you guys, but on top of that, before I even went to Chicago, I decided to file bankrupt. I decided to try to fix my credit. I had a repossession on there from one of my cars on my credit, and I had another repossession coming up because the car I had, it was something always happening to it or whatever, so I just got tired of putting money into it. So I just was like, you know what? I'm gonna file bankrupt. So the girl, my ex-boyfriend, his other sister, she was doing bankrupt or whatever at the time. So she told me she'd do my bankrupt for me. So I let her do my bankrupt. No, she did the paperwork for me, actually. And she helped me through the process with the questions I had. I turned my paperwork in, filed for bankrupt. Boom, that's done in the month of June. Between June and July is when that got started. A week before I made my mind up on moving to Chicago, it was a week before the 15th of August. So August 15th, 2019. 2019. August 15th is when I officially left Wisconsin and went to Chicago to be with my mother. Now, the crazy thing is, because I'm always looking for love in the wrong places, I'm gonna throw it in there. I had met this guy out there in Chicago, and he had did my tattoos or whatever. So I ended up moving there with him because I didn't really want to. I wanted to be closer to my mom, but I didn't want to be where my mom was at. I didn't want to be where I was at with him either, because I didn't know him like that. I don't know who his ops is, you know. I'm in Chicago. They killing people every day, you know. I went out there when 140 something. But in the midst of me being out there, staying with somewhere I don't want to stay, but only here because I'm closer to my mama in case something happened. I'm right here. In case something happened to her, I'm right here. I'm close, you know. Mind you of that, to go back a little bit, before I actually up and left to Chicago, I get off my stove. Get down. So a little bit before that, before I actually officially left to Chicago, I got on the phone and I called Betty, my mama's sister. And I told Betty, I said, I think I'm about to just move to Chicago. I said, you know, the doctor says she got problems with her heart. So I think I'm about to just move to Chicago. I said, about me filing bankrupt already. I ain't been in my apartment. I wasn't even in my apartment. I had just moved there. I wasn't even in there for 2 whole months. It probably been about just 2 months. Because I think I moved in June, July, moved out August. So I've been there probably a little, 2 months, a little over 2 months. I don't remember, but around that time. So I tell Betty, like, I'm going to move to Chicago. That's where my mama want to be. So that's where I'm going to go. Like, I don't like it there. That place is that place never sets well with me since I've left. So while we're on the phone talking, Betty tells me, like, you had this planned already. And I'm like, no, I told her that I'm gonna go to Chicago, and by me filing bankrupt, I was just gonna put that apartment on bankrupt. And that's when she said, Kat, you had this planned already. I said, no, I didn't. I ain't had none of this planned. I don't even like Chicago. I don't even want to be in Chicago. But that's where my mama want to be. That's where my mama want to be. And the doctor just told me she have problems with her heart. Y'all already know every time something happened to her anyway, I'm the one getting the phone calls. I'm the one getting all, you know what I'm saying? I'm the one who all this is coming on. This is not falling on my other siblings. This is not falling on my brothers. It's not falling on them to be there when somebody call. When she pissed somebody off or they pissed her off, or when she done did something to whoever, or done lied on somebody, or done said something somebody just said about them, or whatever, however it go, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was the one always getting the phone calls. It was all coming back on me. So Betty said what she said. I got teary-eyed, hung up the phone. It is what it is. If that's what you think and that's how you feel and whatever, like, I'm gone. So I went ahead. My last check at my job, which I was a lead I was a lead on my second shift. And I just walked away from my job. I liked my job, where I was at. It was in Waupun. By me moving back to Fond du Lac, I still have to drive 30 minutes away, but I liked it. But once I got that information about my mama, I had a decision to make. I can't give you no 2-week notice, you know? I got my mind is going too fast right now, because now I got all this stuff going on in my head now that, okay, something happened to my mama, I know I'm gonna cut these people off. Always in the back of my head that if anything happened to my mama, I'm cutting these people off. That was never a doubt in my mind. But at the same time, though, I was still going around these people when I was going around these people, calling them aunties and, like nothing never happened, putting on this smile. And, it was good to, I guess, I came on, like, it was good to see him, I guess, when I did see him or whatever. I know it was only for like a brief moment. It wasn't for a forever thing that I had to see them, So I still just, when I did go out there, hey, auntie, hey, cousin, this, hey, how you doing? I miss you. Hey, I miss you too, like stuff like that. Like, now that I think about it and now that God has opened my eyes, it was never genuine. It was never genuine on my behalf, so I'm part of a lie. It was never genuine on their behalf, so they continuously to, play that big lie that they've been living in all their lives, But the fact that I'm playing this, I'm doing this lie too and going along with it too, because I grew up to go along with these lies as well too. So I can't just act like I ain't grew up in lies, or my life ain't just been about lies, but this is my truth. And this is me getting my peace. And this is me speaking on it now. And this is me coming out about it. This is everything that was going on with me that nobody knows about. And I feel like they know. They just in denial still. They just don't want to know. Is what it is. I always tell God, thank you for opening up my eyes, because I know they know. I know they know. So I moved to Chicago. Well, after I moved to Chicago and I got settled in Chicago or whatever, me and the guy I was messing with would get into it, because he would always ask me if I was going to stay in Chicago and all this or whatever. I started looking for places in Chicago, but I just couldn't get comfortable there. So me and the guy would always stay into it. He would drop me off over there by my mama in my car, and he would just be gone. Like, I would be texting like, I don't want to be here. Like, the fuck? Like, you want to be on bullshit? Like, I'm going through something. Like, I don't want to be there. Like, all you want to do is argue, because I don't want to be here in Chicago. I don't want to argue. Like, I'm not thinking about that right now, So all that started rolling over once it started getting to that point with him, that he realizes I'm not really staying in Chicago. He feel like I'm using him and all this or whatever, which, I like them, whatever. But that's neither here or there. But leaving in my eyes, I guess I liked everybody, because I was looking for that attention in all the wrong, places. But, so I would go over my mama's house, whatever, be over there. I would be sad, depressed, and all that over there, whatever, looking all down. But I would still be, like, I would be in my mother room the whole time, laying in the bed with her, watching TV, or we would be in the living room when she was sitting in the living room by herself on the couch. I would go in and sit on the living room on the couch with her, and we would watch TV, or whatever. And she would always ask me, am I hungry? Because she always would like to cook in the kitchen, no matter what time of the day it is. It could be 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. She getting up cooking if she hungry. But yeah. So that, like, rolled over a few times or whatever. Then after a while, it got to the point to where I just didn't want to go over there at all no more. I just couldn't do it at all no more. With even just going over there when I would get into it with him or whatever. So it got to the conclusion where me and him have to have a conversation to where, like, look, I need you to stop trying to argue with me. Like, right now is not the time. Like, you don't know what I'm going through. Like, I'm out here with my mama. I can't drive my car to her doctor appointments because I don't want to be out here riding around with my mom in a car, something happened. I don't want to be riding around with my mom in a car with him in a car driving me, because I'm scared to drive in Chicago or whatever, all around or whatever, far distances or whatever. I never really drove in Chicago. I would park my car somewhere, or somebody would drive me around, and, in my car. I would never drive in Chicago. And people knew that about me too. So I would just had a conversation with him, and he was like, okay, whatever, he'll get mad, he'll just leave the house or whatever then. So that's what happened. He would leave the house and study me leaving the house, going over there with them. My mother still would call me every day. We still would talk every day. She would still call me and tell me she's sick and she wanted me to come over or whatever. But by that time, it was like I was so used to her pretending for my, pretending to be sick sometimes just for my attention and would make herself sick, So I didn't know how to accept that. Like I would, accept it sometimes and I would fall in for it and I would fall for it and I would be looked at like I'm wrong for doing that. Like, ain't nothing wrong with your mama. She okay. She just doing that for your attention. She just doing that for your attention. She just, all that, like, but I'm not even gonna say but, however, I just feel like God works in mysterious ways and things happen for a reason. But to get back on topic, so when all that finally, died down or whatever, I got the call October 10th, October 10th, I got the call that she was in the hospital again or whatever. So I was going up and, he was dropping me off at the hospital, whatever, every day. I was going up there seeing her. And when I went up there to see her August 10th, she wasn't even talking no more. She was just nodding her head and shaking her head. And at this point, I'm thinking like, okay, like now, is mama pretending? Is this real? Like, and I'm like, Ma, and I'm like, talk to me. Like open your mouth. Like stop nodding your head. Like use your, like say something. But she couldn't really say anything. She couldn't really say anything. So then I leave the hospital, I go home and I call the hospital. I give the hospital my number and I tell them, something happened, call me. At this point, I can't even see her like that, not being able to talk. So I leave the hospital, I have him pick me up, go back to his house, get dropped off the next day. The next day I get there and they're transporting her to ICU. So they take her to ICU. I go in and they got her hooked up to all the machines, whatever, after they, got her hooked up and everything. And she's laying there with, on the machines. And they tell me that it was just because they needed to help her. She was blocking her, her airway was being blocked due to the saliva and stuff. So they need to put the tube down to help, to help her with her breathing, but they kept telling me she was breathing on her own. She was doing majority of the breathing, which I work in the field. I know that's what that's what they tell you. She's doing majority of the breathing, but I knew me watching my mama laying there. I knew the machine was doing majority of the breathing. So I'm laying here. I mean, she's laying there and she still got her eyes open and she still, like patting her eyes at me and, she cracked that little smile at me and, I told her I loved her or whatever, and she smiled and, a little tear, So, I had a little moment with her. I'm trying to stop living in lies and living in denial. But I guess, like, I was still in denial at that point. Like, I just didn't think that she was going to go within a few days of that. So I'm doing this every day, back and forth to the hospital stuff with my mom, and I'm stressing, don't know what to do at this point. Her sisters come one day, they leave, and as I'm on the phone talking to them, they telling me how they sorry they couldn't be there with me, and They sorry they had to leave. And if I need to talk, if I need to help making decisions, to just call them or whatever, and all that, you know. They wanted me to make decisions that was best for me, and they wanted me to make sure that I was making the best decision when it came to my mom. So going back a little bit, when the sisters was at the hospital, when they came to the hospital, you know, the doctors came into the room and was explaining to us how, I gotta get this right. And the doctors was explaining how her brain is swollen, and that they needed to remove her skull. Or I had an option. I'm sorry. Not that they needed to, but when they came in, it was, so we have a couple options here. Either we can leave her how she is, get her comfortable, and let her, you know, let it just play its course. Basically, let her just go on to heaven. Father God called her home. Let him just take her, you know. One thing me and my mama did conversate about that she never wanted to be cremated, and she did not want to be resuscitated, or she didn't want to be none of that. So I knew when they gave me that option of that they gave me was to by her brain being swollen, they was gonna remove her skull and store it in the refrigerator from 6 months to a year. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. And I told her sisters this at the hospital, ain't no way I am about to sit here and allow my mother to suffer. I'm not about to do it. I'm not about to let her suffer. I'm not about to sit here, and I can't do that one. They did tell me to make the decision I wanted to make, so I'm very happy and pleased with that one. Because had I would have got her skull removed, they was talking about she could have been a vegetable and not even know what's going on, in which I knew all this. I know she not know what's been going on. That's my thing. I didn't want my mother living her life like that when she was already in denial for a long time about being a diabetic, when, you know, her strokes and seizures would play a major part in her, you know, her life. And when she became a diabetic, you know, and she had to get tumors removed off her head. I knew my mother was going through a lot already on top of medications. So to pump medications through her stomach, because she's on the tube feeding, or to be able to have to clean a trach from her throat, from her neck, because they have to place one of those in as well. They were talking. I ain't finna let my mama suffer no more. I ain't finna let her suffer no more. It's her time. God got her now. He got her. She in good hands. She's better there than where she would ever be. So I am okay with that now. That I can say, because I was in denial a long time. She's okay. So the family leave. The doctor telling me that I have to make my decisions quick. First off, when it came to them removing her skull, let me go back a little bit. I'm sorry. When it comes to removing her skull, I had 2 hours to make my mind up. My mind was made up once they started explaining the whole situation of how it had to go. My mind was already made up. So I didn't second guess that. So now, past that part, her sisters leave, and